to develop a data culture among farmers?
Right. You want to start? Should I start?
Let's start.
So basically, I mean, before we do that, just a little bit of history. The reason that we are all here is because, first of all, agriculture is a $2.3 trillion market, which is managed on pencil and paper. The second reason that we're here is actually in 2013, a company called Monsanto acquired another company called Climate Corp for a ridiculous amount of almost $1 billion. The third reason that we're here is because precision ag never worked, and it potentially could work, but it never worked as it should, right? So basically, the idea was that a physical reality would connect to a virtual reality, and unfortunately, the reality that we have is we have almost like 15, 20 logins and passwords that every day every farmer has to take this USB and put into a system or multiple systems in order to try to have some kind of holistic view of what's going on in their particular farm. And the fourth one, and maybe the most important one, and that's exactly why you're actually leveraging, is the fact that we all have this thing here, right? This is the most important thing that we ever had in the last, I don't know, since the Industrial Revolution. And this is basically changing the relationship between the farm and the consumer. We never had a chance in our lives to have that kind of experience. And honestly, we're actually lucky to be part of this, right? So I think that's the start of the problem, but that's where we are today. In terms of data problem and data culture is not only on the farmer side. Data culture is actually across agriculture, right? The reason that both of us are sitting here is because there is a data culture issue that both of us are trying to resolve, right? So data culture is basically allowing the farm to stop taking guesses about their farm, allowing the co-ops to stop taking guesses about their co-op, and the same thing with the corporations, the same thing with the trading houses, and really allow the whole supply chain to start utilizing data as it should, right? Really stop the guesses and take the data as a meaningful way to create solution. I'll leave to Sébastien because I can talk forever here.
Thank you, Tiago. And first of all, I mean, it's not easy for us to be the last speaker, specifically at the end of the day, and speaking English also. So I hope everything is okay for you. What I want to add about what Tiago said is the goal of all of us in this room is to put technology in line with what farmers need. We need to think as a farmers. We need to be in line with what's going on in the fields, and we need to organize the data flows between us together in order to be sure that farmers with only one tools, which what Tiago said, that in order to help farmers to collect data from the fields, from extractors, from the soils, and then to exchange data from his fields, from his farms, to your companies in a transparent way. I mean that the goal of APIAgro is to help farmers to provide data from their farmers and then to help you to have access to lots of data, raw data, but also standardized data in order for you to use this data and to help you to develop your tools. And then these tools go back to farmers with the same channel that this thing. So the goal for all of us in our community is to organize the flow of data from the farmers through some data market like APIAgro or other platforms to you, and then you bring back some experience and some tools to farmers. So this is the goal of, I think, the community on the European level, because it's true that the second thing, because Tiago comes from the US, as you can see with his accent, but there is also Chinese people, and maybe next year it will be interesting to to have some Chinese people coming there in order to share experience about what's going on this market. And then to know, we speak only together on the French level, sometimes on the EU level, as we have seen the EU Commission this afternoon. But at the end, it's clear that some intelligence or artificial intelligence could come from Israel, China, and the US. And it's really clear that even if we ask lots of questions together there, because French people specifically and EU people also like to ask some questions, but the others have already answered. And the goal together is to speak about answered instead of speaking about questions. And I think that will be the following of this event, is to go on this way.
So I just want to tag something, continue what Sébastien has mentioned. I mean, so just to be more pragmatic here, so what is the problem, what is the solution, right? So basically the problem is on the farmer side, so we're going to touch on the startup side, but on the farmer side, I mean, they don't know their farm. I mean, let's be honest. So basically they know the farm that they want to know. They don't know everything that is happening in the farm because they're not collective getting that information. So the idea is the farmers should actually, in order to create a data culture, they need to start listening to the data they collect. Data is not only coming from the machine, data is not coming from the sensor, this data is not coming from himself as a crop scouting tool, but data is also coming from their partners, right? The co-ops that are actually servicing them, the extension service system that is actually going with pencil and paper and writing down the number of bugs that you have per hectare. These are all the data flow that he doesn't see, but collective provides a better view of that farm. So what happens on the startup? Startup needs to stop thinking that their competition is sitting in California in the Silicon Valley. Your competition is called Excel spreadsheet, right? Excel spreadsheet is your competition because the easiest tool, everybody knows, you're born knowing Excel, right? I mean, when you're born, you're giving Word, PowerPoint, Excel at the birth, So basically, these are the tools that those individuals have. Remember that the average age of a US farmer is between like 64 to 65 years old. The average age of a Brazilian farmer is between 45 to 46. So there's going to be a point in time where there's going to be a succession plan when the farm is going to go to the next generation. And in order for that next generation to be engaged in participating in the farm, technology should be part of the conversation. So the farmer needs to understand and collect and force their suppliers, which could be a seed company, could be the co-op, to also collectively participate on that. On the startup side, basically, you need to listen to the farmer. I mean, go to the farm, make as many visits as possible, really understand their needs. I mean, farmers have been farming for the last 10,000 years. It's actually the oldest profession in the world with, prostitution. But so basically, they know they have a collection of data and information that is being gathered for 10,000 years. We're just choosing to let it go, right? So basically, what Silicon Valley has done in the past 10 years is force a software into a solution that is not required. So the likelihood that a farmer is going to accept that solution is very small. Right, so you need to do the opposite. You need to respect that particular know-how and visit the farm with open arms to respect what they have, but add value what they don't have right now. Also remember that you have to be better than Excel. What is the solution, right? And then I'll share that with Sébastien as well. The solution is basically allowing the farmer not only collecting the data and start to organize its data so he becomes data culturally viable, but it's also partnering with other farmers. So that's the idea of the data co-op, right? Data co-op is not the co-op gathering data. Unfortunately, they missed that boat like 10 years ago. They could be doing a much better job helping the farmers and making data as a service. That's their choice not to do that. We are here to help the co-ops if they want to help. But the fact of the matter is, the farmers themselves, among their region or their province, they can collectively share information and get a benchmark and start to become more efficient among themselves. That's the true data co-op, right? It's a cooperation among farmers to reach a better value productivity or social organization or economically viable farm. On the co-op side, is basically the co-op understanding that there is a gap that needs to be fulfilled. I mean, co-op historically has had a human touch, right? So there is an agriculture engineer going to the farm, shaking their hands, establishing a relationship, selling seeds, selling services. And with the new generation, as I described previously, we're gonna stop seeing that, right? Because of the iPhone, because of the Google, because of Samsung, all those phones, what you have right now is the next generation. All the corn or soybean or wheat that is being produced there, they have choices. And not necessarily co-op is part of the conversation, right? So the co-op needs to be more active, participating in it, and engaging through data conversation.
It's clear that Tiago spoke about the farmer's point of view and the main competitors on the collection data in farms, which is Excel. So now I'm going to speak with you about the next steps, how to exchange data from the farmers to you or to the other companies in the food and feed chains. I mean, this is the main competitors in for marketplace, for data marketplace like APIAgro or DKE or other data, is the bilateral agreement between you and one technical institute, one company, and all that stuff. No, this is the point, one-to-one. Okay, this is the main competitors face to data marketplace. Okay, and the goal of data marketplace for you is to help to develop your business to not to one-to-one relationships, but to many-to-many relationships. That means that when you want to provide data to the community, you put that in one place on the data market, and then you connect your data with many consumers. And to succeed in that, you need 3 points. The first point is to have identified companies on the data marketplace. It was like Potatoes marketplace startup. You need to identify the seller and the buyer. And on the numeric point of view, you need identity, the first point. The second point is standardization. I mean, Smile just said, okay, you have the Ag Gateway, Agro Europe, and all that stuff. It's a nightmare. All of you in the room know that non-standardized data is a nightmare for your tools, for your software, because you cannot deal with them. This is the second main collective point of view in order to improve AgTech ecosystems. And the third thing is to be really in line with the data protections and the security in EU on EU level. I mean, I spoke about US companies, the GAFAM. I spoke a little about Chinese companies, but in EU, we don't have main company dealing with AgTech and specifically about data exchange. And this is the goal of APIAgro, is to help you to develop your own business on the local area, on the national level, and the EU level in order that you can develop your business with that and to organize the flow data in AgTech.
I just want to, do we have time? I just want to mention something that, you know, when the farmer is looking to organize its data, I mean, please, I don't know if you have farmers here or co-ops, but please, I mean, take the time to really dig through your database and really understand which kind of information you have in order to decide which kind of software makes sense for you, right? I mean, this is something that is going to be making the most important decision for the next at least 3 to 5 years. So this is something that you have to respect. I mean, data is something that once it's highly organized, as Sébastien mentioned, once it's actually established into a frame that is solid, that is normalized, that you can actually utilize properly, is going to give tools and capabilities that this individual never expected. He's going to allow the farm to, in fact, create all the business services and business for himself and his family, and to grow his economy. So I think really respect the time, understand what you need. Don't just, coming to these events is great because you have like a really a fair amount of startups within the French market that are really to invest time and dedicate efforts to provide services to the farmers. But it's upon the farmer to make that decision as well and participate in the process of decision without blaming everybody else. The second thing that I see for you, startup, that actually listening to this is, what is the evolution for you, right? The evolution is actually a system of systems, right? You stop creating logins and passwords. You need to start connecting with everybody else in the world, right? With the machinery, with the sensors, create like an open source environment where you feel that your farmers are getting the flexibility that they need, right? They're not just getting half of the solution, they're getting full solution. Yeah, that takes time. But that's the pitch that you have with your investor, right? Investors should be there for the long run. So look for developing a solution that really can resolve the problem from a holistic view and not just take one piece of it, because you're going to be another login and password for the farmer, and he's going to stop using because you're not going to create any engagement for them.
I think this is the best conclusion for this
Exactly.
table.
Thank
I
you
think
very
so.
much. Thank you.